Who are some of the artists that inspire you? As an artist.
So starting out, I was one of those kind of like underground nerds in the acapella community. So I was looking up to some of the early guys who paved the way for what we do. There's a group out there called Rockapella, who's
Nice.
still going, and they're probably like the first group to do this format of things, like five guys, one full-time beatboxer, you know, a cappella, a lot of covers of popular stuff. They sort of, as far as I'm concerned, created that format. They were certainly the first group I heard doing it, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that that was a thing. Which was a big eye opener for me as a guy with a bass voice. It's like, oh, here's this like outlet I didn't even know about, contemporary bass singing. So they like really inspired me back in the day and probably like set me on this path, as well as some gospel vocal groups as well. There's a group actually called Acapella. So that shows you how long they've been around. They were able to get dibs on that name.
They got acapella.com.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at that point, it's probably acapella.net. So.
Right.
That's funny.
So some of those groups are really like, well, how I cut my teeth and yeah. But, like these days, one thing I love about country music is that it's not super like competitive. It's more collaborative.
That's fascinating.
The city of Nashville in general is like a really encouraging city, like we're all rooting for each other instead of like
100%.
trying to get ahead of each other.
100%.
I lived out in LA for a while, and like the vibe out there is so different. You like meet someone and it's sort of like that right away. It's like, okay, what can you do for me?
Oh man.
Whereas like here, it's a little bit more like, all right, what can we do for each other? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm
fascinating.
inspired by my country music peers all the time. I'm a writer, so I am like, super inspired by the good writers, especially anybody who's like really clever with lyrics and stuff like that.
Who would you say today is very clever with lyrics? I'm curious.
Jeffrey East.
Okay.
I met him when he came on tour with us. He opened up for us out in Europe.
Okay.
And we have since become super close, and every time I hear something new from that guy, I'm inspired.
So have you been interested in country for a while? Like, have you kind of grown up in country? Or, I mean, a lot of the references you actually made were not country, but...
Yeah, so I grew up on country, loved it, it's in my blood, but then, there's that period of time where, it's like, well, that was my parents' music, so... So once I discovered pop, there was like a period of time where I thought I wanted nothing to do with country, and then it was like all pop music for a while, and then I ended up like venturing back to my first love, which was country music. But what was nice was along the way, like there had been like such a hybrid that happened between pop and country.
I was just gonna segue into that. I was gonna ask you your opinion about that because like I feel like it was like folk country up until like 10 years ago, and now it's become like pop country.
Yeah.
And not only that, all of America loves country music now too. So like,
yeah, there's like people are crossing over back and forth. And we travel all over the world. It's like we go to Europe, and like they love American country music over there.
It's so
like
fascinating, man.
Thing.
It's so interesting.
But interestingly enough, I oftentimes find myself writing kind of more of the classic country, or at least like retro country, like 80s and 90s, kind of what I grew up on, rather than the super poppy stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.